Hi guys, welcome to Code Patcher, and in this video I will discuss one-to-many relationship in Laravel Eloquent. In database, in some scenarios, table has one-to-many relationship between them. Like for example, in this example, uh, one user may have many posts. So I'm using two tables for this. One is users, which contains the number of users, and the second one is the post, which contains the number of posts for an user. Okay, so currently it contains the three records, in which out of which two records related to the user ID 4 and one record is related to user ID 12. So user may have or may not have post, but it can be more than one. Okay, so so there is a one-to-many relationship. But in Laravel Eloquent, we need to define it to use it correctly. Okay. So every relationship in Laravel is a method. Okay. So let's create it. Public function, and let's give the name of it. Okay. And to define the one-to-many relationship, just use the has many method of Laravel Eloquent. And in this has many, we need to pass the child method, child model class. And in our scenario, the child uh, model class will be a post model like this. And that's it. We are ready to go with it and use it here. I'm using the web.php, the root file for web application Laravel. Okay, and let's fetch the user. So let's fetch the user ID with 4, and in the users table, the user with the ID 4 is a Suraj. Okay, and user find 4. Okay, and now if you now refresh, we are getting the user ID with 4, but we want the related post also. For it, there are two ways. If we want to load it by default, then we need to use the with method of eloquent in query and pass the relation post. We are giving here the post as a name because we have defined the relationship as a post method. So exactly, just copy it, the method name, and use it here. Okay, and now if we refresh, we now uh, getting the user with their post. Okay, but in some cases we don't want it by default. Then there is a solution also. Okay, so let's you can use the relationship as a property for the eloquent object, and now we can we are getting the post. Okay, so as you already know that every relationship act as a query builder, so you can further filter out the things. Like if we want the state If we want only the post with the status 1, then we can further filter it out. As you can see, there is a two post, and one is a with the status 0 and one is a status 1. But if you want only status 1, then you can filter it out. Just use it as a method, not a property. Okay. And on this object, we can use the eloquent query builder clauses status 1. Okay. And then get. Now if you refresh, we are getting, and we have successfully filtered out the post. Okay. Okay, so it is very useful to implement the one-to-many relationship if you have in your database. And then if you are not defining or not using these eloquent relationship, then you need to fetch out the post separately when you need the related post of the user. Okay, but with defining the relationship, you can fetch it out dynamically using the eloquent method with a with, or you can fetch it out as a property. Okay, so there is a inverse method also for this relationship. uh, uh, Means if you have a post and want to know the related user, how do you get it? For this, you can define the inverse relationship. So every post belongs to the user. Similarly, in the post model, just define the user method, okay, as a eloquent relationship, and use belongs to, like this, okay, and pass the parent class, in our case is the user. Okay. And now let's suppose, comment it out, and let's suppose you have a post, and in our case, fetch it out post 79, for example. Okay. And return post. Class post not found. Okay, the model is post. And now we are getting the post data, but we want the user data also, with the related user data also. So you can use simply the user here. Okay. And now if we refresh, we are getting the related user. But if you want to load it by default, then you can use the with method of the eloquent, like this, and giving here the same name as you have given to defining the belongs to relation here in the post model. Okay, just keep it in mind and don't need to confuse. And now if you're returning the post using the with, the related user will be loaded by default, like this. Okay, so you can see how it can be useful in terms of your code. Okay, try. Okay, in some cases, like in our case, for example, if you allow this foreign key column to be null. Okay, like let's make it null. Update post set user id equals to null, where id equals to 79. Okay, it runs successfully. And now if you fetch, so in some cases, if you allow the foreign key column to be null, then it can be a null in some records. And if you fetch now, like we have fetching the 79, I post with the ID 79 in our case, then we are getting the user null, obviously. Okay, because we don't have any user related user. But in some cases, you need the default value. Okay, so in Laravel Eloquent, there is a method with default for the belongs to relations. Okay, so there is a with default method. Okay, and here you can define the default properties. Let's say if the post don't have any user related user, then you want to just return the related user name. So let's say it's a guest, like this. And now if we refresh it, we are now getting the name guest instead of null. Okay, it says also one form also, if you want to use the current post values, then you can use here the closer function, like this. And just pass the current user and current post. Okay, and let's say user of post here. Okay, and post body, like this. Okay, and now if we refresh it, we are getting the user object with the name and utilizing the body of the post also. Okay, so you can see it can be very useful to defining the one-to-many relationship in Laravel Eloquent. And I think I have explained well. And if you have any question, then you can comment it out and like, subscribe my channel. Thank you for watching us. Thank you.